Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the September 11th, 2015 edition of the Intuit Developer Friday Morning Hangout. I'm your host, David Leary. I'm a developer evangelist at Intuit. If you want to follow me, you can follow me at David Leary. Today, our first hour guest is Joanne Peach. She's going to be speaking about the Intuit Developer Hub, which is the new communication channel that we now have on our developer team to communicate with all of you developers. We're going to address, a lot of pains that have happened before, calendar pains, we don't know what events, what's the deadlines for this thing, where's this blog post, where's this helpful video. We're going to bring all this content we have into one spot for you as a developer to find as easy as possible. Just before we jump into that, Joe's actually having to restart her computer. We had some audio difficulties. Thank you for your patience. We are starting a little bit late today. Also, I wanted to cover, I'm thinking of changing the format a little bit. Having guests has been really a great format for us. I'm just struggling to get a guest every single week. And what I think about doing while we wait for Joe here is just bounce this idea off of you guys. Are you guys okay if possibly going forward I just do a guest every other week? And then the opposite weeks where we don't have a guest, those would be the open office hours. So it would still be a weekly hangout, but it would be structured one week, and then open office hours the next week, then structured guest, and then open office hours. It's really hard for me to lock down 52 guests in a year, so I want to go to 26 guests, which is a lot more reasonable. Let me if you guys have any thoughts on that, please let me know and just unmute yourself. It looks like Joe's here. We'll give her a second to get her audio together. Oh, and she still can't hear me. Ugh. I wonder if there's a creative way to bring through Joe. But Joe, you can't hear me, but you can talk, right? Oh wait, I have to type that. So I think what I can do is have Joe talk and give a tour of Developer Hub, and if we have any questions for Joe, we can ask them through the Q&A panel of the Hangout if you're watching the viewing side, or if you're inside, you can just use the group chat. But it looks like she's thinking of trying to do it trying to get in one more time. So we'll give her a second. So Matt or Jack, did you guys have any comments or thoughts about going to an every other week format for guests, and then the opposite weeks just doing only open office hours? Crickets. So I guess nobody. I'm hoping you guys can hear me, but it seems like nobody has too many opinions.
I was going to say I'll chip in as nobody else will. I think that's a good idea, and it obviously means that we can still kind of get the value out of the Hangouts without you having to find twice as many guests.
Yeah, it's just I think we had a lot of momentum there. I think I had 12 straight weeks of guests. It was great, but now I'm running out. Like there's just not enough interesting topics and interesting things happening fast enough. So I think if I spread it out, it'll just we'll actually not have so many dead, or I won't be reaching to the bottom of the barrel to find the topic. So cool. I'm gonna kind of agree. So internally, everybody on the team voted for that. It feels like you guys out of 10 have voted for that. So I think we're going to move to that format. And then I think I'm going to bring it down to an hour, because nobody's been, after the guest, nobody's been sticking around for the second hour anyways. So I'm just going to bring the open office hours down to an hour then. So we'll do that kind of going forward starting next week. Perfect. The other big news, I guess, I'm going to actually be gone for 2 weeks, and Tristan Sokol is the other developer evangelist at Intuit. He's going to be a guest host for 2 weeks. There's a chance Jill might guest host also, but we'll see if she can get through today with her microphone issue or headset issue. So she can talk, she just can't hear anything. So we'll give her a second. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to discuss. There's the new Developer Hub out. There is some new SDKs that went out recently. And I think there was also some changes to the Developer Sandbox that went out. Let me see if I can find the release notes on that. Developer. Oh yeah, this is kind of news too. We now have a couple options on the Connect to QuickBooks button for people to drop on their app. I'm going to share this in the showcase. So before we had one version of the sign in with Connect to QuickBooks button, and it was starting to look a little dated, admittedly, and so now we've given developers 6 different options, different sizes, different colors. That's going to allow them to, let me get that shared. It's going to allow you as a developer just to make the button fit the image, the style of your app a little bit better, but it'll still be a consistent feel from the customer standpoint as they see these icons in different apps. I'm going to also share that here for you guys that are inside the Hangout. So that is something that's new, and that's available, the new sign-in buttons. Let me switch over to, I could just share that actually. Screen share, Firefox, this one here, screen share. Yeah, zoom in a little bit. So these are the new buttons that are available to replace the Connect to QuickBooks button that we've been providing in the past. We also have modernized and just came with a little bit cleaner look on the sign-in with Intuit buttons so they don't look so outdated either. So we have those are also available to you now. The other big news, just kind of going through the blog, was there's a new .NET SDK. Jack, this is something you might be interested in.
Thank you.
So that's available now. I'm going to put that in the also in the showcase. Okay, so I've added that to the showcase of URLs. And the other, there's a PHP SDK that's out. And then I thought there were some changes to the sandbox, but maybe that blog post is not available yet, and I'm not totally aware of what those changes are. I'll try to track that down before we're done today. Okay. So it doesn't look like Joe's going to pop in just yet. She's still working on her technical difficulties. Did you guys have any questions or any thoughts or concerns? Anything new this week?
I've got a question about QBO's direction in general.
Yeah.
Around the area of inventory. Because obviously there's lots of add-on partners providing inventory functionality at the moment, but is there kind of a plan to build out the functionality within QBO itself?
Yes, I think it's a hard answer, right?
Yeah.
It'll probably be never as deep and as big as QuickBooks desktop inventory, right? Which even for a lot of people was very deep and robust, and they still use third-party things like Mysis or Fishbowl Inventory and other add-ons, even for as big and deep as it was for desktop. I think what you're going to see is like QuickBooks Online have just good enough functionality, right? You're going to have just good enough inventory, just good enough shipping, just good enough e-commerce for somebody to get through what they need to get through, right? But I think as we go forward, if you have specialized e-commerce needs, you have very heavy volume for shipping, things like that, you're going to probably use an add-on. And so the same, I think, is true. Like inventory is kind of the same way. If you have very deep inventory needs, barcoders and scanners and printing labels and reports for pulling inventory to ship and that type of stuff, probably not gonna ever, like that level of functionality is not gonna be built into QuickBooks.
Yeah, I think the question we had this week was around like stock units and batch numbers, so that, for example, knowing not just how much of something somebody ordered, but which items they ended up, as in which individual items they ended up getting shipped to them.
So there are new inventory features that are rolling out literally as we speak. I think they're live now, or before, for the last like 3 or 4 months, you could turn them on in the QBO Labs tab, but I think the inventory features are live now in QBO. And let me get the docs. So there's actually support for that in the API also. Let me track that down here. And when I say literally, like, they're supposed to be out in the latest QBO release, which I'm not positive if that went out yet or not. So
it's 89, isn't it? Is the latest.
I think so, but I'm not sure on the inventory if that came out in 88 or if that went out in 89. Let me see here. Oh, that's news too. The naming structure is going to change. So we're going to go to I think the next release is going to, instead of it being like 90, it's going to be like a month day. So if it's October 7th, the release will be 10/7 or some numbering scheme like that. So it'll be easier for people to know what those releases actually mean.
Yeah.
Because I think every time somebody's like, oh, that's going out, I'll ask a question like, hey, when is this feature going out? And I'll get a response back that says that it's going out in some release number. And I'm like, well, that doesn't tell me when. Like, what's the date?
No.
So I think that's just going to save a lot of conversation headache. Let me just check on the developer site here on the inventory. Let's see.
Especially as the blog post itself that talks about the release doesn't have that version number in it. So if you tell somebody it's coming out in 88 or 89, that number then isn't in the public-facing blog post on QuickBooks' release blog.
And we actually had some pages that have gone out. Docs into evaluation summary. Work backwards here because I know there's the new doc pages that are getting written up. Oh, that's for the report. I don't want inventory reports. I want actually just inventory itself. Let's see. I don't think it's all in the documentation yet. It's still just under an item, but I know that I think it's on a QA server. Let me paste this to the showcase here. Inventory, so if anybody else has questions about it. So this is kind of the old, if you want to call it the old documentation, that covers a little bit about inventory. But the new documentation should have more on that. And I thought that was a good, so I mean, you can see to some extent what the inventory features are by flipping them on in your QBO instance. I'll paste it in the chat for you, Matthew, too.
Thanks.
So that's the chat for you. The Google. Okay, I think this probably as a this is a really the customer-facing view of inventory in QBO, but this is a really nice write-up on the QuickBooks blog. So I'm going to get that shared also. Joe, can you hear us yet?
Yes!
Finally. Wow. Technology is awesome.
Or not.
And I'm going to share this last link for inventory. This is from the QuickBooks blog, and this I think is a really good write-up just in general of like, here's what functions and inventory got added into QuickBooks Online. But I think overall, Matthew, I think you're going to, the features and functionality that's being added to inventory is kind of setting the stage to have a deeper level of inventory available to allow customers that want to go to the cloud, but they can't because there's no inventory at all. Now there's inventory. It's just going to let QuickBooks Online be that much more useful for other customers. But I think in many cases, there's still like this high-level discussions and questions going on, right? If somebody, I think payroll is an example, right? Does the payroll data need to live in QuickBooks, or can you use a third-party payroll service and just have a journal entry in QuickBooks? Kind of the same as inventory, right? If you're using a point-of-sale terminal and that has all your inventory in it, do you need all those items in QuickBooks, or do you just need a journal entry with the total amount and the value of the inventory? And so I think that debate will still continue to go on, but for people that maybe aren't ready to use an add-on yet, there needs to be some level of inventory available to them. I just don't, and I think some of the enterprise people, they in many cases are using the inventory list pretty deep, but it's starting to become that question, like where does the inventory really need to live? Do you have to have a perfectly synced inventory in QuickBooks and in another app? Because then it's like, who's the source of truth?
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
But I don't know. I think it's more of an industry discussion to some extent, right? As things go forward. I mean, my point of view is things go more niche and more specialized. Chances are, if you're an e-commerce site, you're going to really need your inventory in an app that's really good at e-commerce and inventory and shipping, right? And you don't need every sale to go through QuickBooks, right? You could just have a summary every week. So it's two different views of the world. I think at one time in the day, QuickBooks Desktop was what everybody ran all their data through because that was the only option they had. But now with other SaaS software products that are out there, you don't have to have all your data live in QuickBooks. You don't have to invite your employees to QuickBooks. Your employees can use whatever app you need to use to run your business and swap that out, right? Law firm app, whatever app you need to swap out, they'd be using that app instead of the actual app. Cool. All right, I think we might be able to get back on track here. Joe, I've stalled for a good half hour. Welcome. Thank you for showing up. I'm glad your audio is now working. You can hear us, obviously.
Sorry, my dog is sick.
We actually just kind of talked about kind of some things that are new and that are going on this week. And it's kind of funny because that's the purpose of what you're going to talk about, the Developer Hub, so people can find what's new in a little easier way. It'll service blog posts instead of me hunting and be like, oh yeah, this came out this week and this kind of came out. So I'm going to, if you're ready to go, hand the ball off to you and let you talk about Developer Hub, debut it. So I know last week you gave a sneak peek of like a QA server version that wasn't fully baked, but this week I feel like you're ready to go. So jump in.
Yep, sure. We're ready to rock and roll. Hold on. Hi everyone, I'm Joe Peach. I work with David at Intuit Developer Relations. So what I'm going to do is jump in, and we are going to be showing you what we like to call the hub. And you can access this directly from developer.intuit.com. It's basically a one-stop spot for tech updates, news, events, all that information that you're going to need in order to get into our community. So when you click at the top of developer.intuit.com, you get to the hub, and you can see here that it's the latest blog post, events, quick access to check status, ask questions and get answers on the developer forums. You can check all of our social media for what we're talking about on Twitter, what we're sharing about ourselves and our team on Facebook. Join our Hangouts on Fridays, and then also check out our stuff on SlideShare. We'll highlight things that are new up at the very top. So we've got some online classes. You can still we'll highlight some information from the dev forums that we'd like you guys to know. There's a fun poll here in case you don't have any Intuit Developer swag and you want a cup, a mug, a t-shirt, or a pint glass. And we'll give you information about the top events that we're going to be going through, as well as blog posts that we want you to pay special attention to, such as deadlines, deprecation dates, etc. And then, if you guys didn't see here, we've got the latest information on the developer ecosystem for Intuit, as well as links to put a face to the name if you've met us online and you don't know what we look like yet, and also the latest press releases. So the blog, and it's a little slow, so we're doing some QA, but you can start accessing this early next week. And so we've got a new, more engaging blog interface. But what I'm really interested in, especially for developers, is our training tab, which we really concentrated on giving the best information for you guys. So we've got a bunch of playlists. If you're looking for whether or not you're building or looking for more information on the sandbox or design, we've got playlists here. We've got the slide share to also map with that. And then one of the things that folks have been asking us a lot is, okay, so we've launched on apps.com. Now how do we market your app? So we want to start getting you some information on really going global on apps.com and also with your app. And then also we'll put in things, top tips and tricks for social media, that kind of stuff. If you have any requests for that, just let us know and tweet at us, and or contact David or myself. And we also know that QuickBooks is a different type of platform, because you also have to know a little bit about accounting. So we are going to be populating this with information just to get you started and start working with QuickBooks Online. So we've got that information. And then if you're already in the throes of coding and getting everything ready, we've got this information here, which will kind of give you more access to things like creating custom fields in QuickBooks and using App Connect. So I'm going to pause here because I know I talk fast, just in case somebody has any questions.
Yeah, Joe, actually I have a question.
And then,
I know we have the search box pretty prominent on this. Does that only search the hub pages, or does that search everything?
No, that's everything. This actually mimics the search over here, which is for the entire developer site. So it'll check for APIs, sample code, if you're looking for a specific SDK or documentation, then you can search the whole site through there. So we wanted you to be able to do that very, very quickly instead of trying to find the little the magnifying glass.
Okay, so now instead of like before, the past, it would just pull up our blog posts and our documentation, but now it's going to pick up our videos or other types of media that we have content.
Yes, if it's on the developer site. So our videos are actually, and you guys should know this, are actually on our YouTube channel. So if you guys want to search for specific ones that are not on the site, then look on our YouTube channel. And actually, since you touched on docs, David, we also have a very easy way for you guys to get to the documentations from the training page. So in any tab in the training page, you can go straight to the documentation.
Oh, got it. Okay. Perfect. Matt or Jack, do you guys have any questions or thoughts on the hub?
Not till I start using it.
Yeah. So I pasted the link, developer.intuit.com/hub. If you guys want to, you guys could be basically.
Yeah, you guys might not be able to access this quite yet, but you can. We'll start letting you guys know through all our social channels and different communications channels starting next week. So we're going through a couple little tweaks still. So what I wanted to do is, like, for example, events. I wanted to highlight this because I know that you guys are in disparate places. Some people are here in the US, some people are in the UK, some people are in Canada. So there's a way that you can check out all the different events depending on if it's a hackathon, a conference, one of David's Hangouts, or any kind of trainings, code camps, that kind of stuff. And you can do that here. And if you click there and have a filter, you can see that we're in Toronto for Hack the North. We're going to TechCrunch Disrupt Hackathon next week in San Francisco. And then we'll also obviously have the QuickBooks Hackathon that's coming up in November. I think we're all going to go to the Bahamas, right, for Scaling New Heights? Yeah? We'll meet you there. I'll be the one holding the pina colada.
Yeah. Do you have a filter? Can I only filter for those events?
Yeah, we're going to add in categories beach.
Beach, yeah, that would be great. Great. That would be awesome.
And then, like I said, so we have a lot of contributors to our blog and also to our pages. So we wanted to put in kind of the most prolific contributors, and we'll be adding more. So, you can kind of mouse through these. You can tell, who's who. Obviously, you know this guy, but, you might not know some of the other product managers like Tony, and also, some of our technical folks like Anthony and Jared as well. And then we've got our regional representatives who are in Australia and then also in Canada.
Got it.
And then press and news, just to kind of finish up the walkthrough. Right now we just have press releases. We have maybe one article in here, which is the interview on Pando Daily with Avi. We'll be adding more press coverage as they come in the rest of the year.
And just these are press releases that are really around.
Yeah, we've curated the content. So,
okay, got it. Not all the Intuit press releases. Okay.
No. This is curated just for the top press releases and the news announcements that affect our developer community.
Got it. So as a developer, I don't have to hunt around to other places and filter through generic news.
Exactly. So, if we acquire a company that is of interest to developers, or if we announce, some changes within the developer community, then we will definitely have that here. And usually you won't have to hunt for it because it'll be pinned here. So the top news will always be pinned up here. So I'm going to pass.
I was going to ask you if this is how does this look on mobile? Because I could definitely see this being a site I'd want to read or access on my mobile device. I'm actually pulling it up right now on my phone, so we'll.
Yeah, it should be optimized for mobile as well. I'm always on my phone, so that was something that I was really concerned. Yeah, that's something that I'm totally concerned about because I barely use a laptop, so and there's the iPad, the iPad Max now, so we've got the that tablet experience as well to think about.
Did you say iPad Max?
Yeah.
What's that?
It's the new, bigger iPad that got announced yesterday.
Oh, I am totally out of the loop.
I like devices. I'm a device person, so I'm rushing out and buying that. Toys, more toys.
More toys. Got it.
Okay.
So, I think I don't really have a lot of questions on this. It'll be exciting to see where this impacts the community, because I think people are always asking, where's this? What's this? When is this? And I think this is we finally, and I know for myself, I've been promising a lot of you for 2 years, like, we're working on it. We're going to have a better way to communicate these things. And so I feel like I'm really happy to see that this is launching this week, and I feel like it's finally some promises we've been making. Things are getting better, and it's easier to find this information now.
I think one of the things that I'm most excited about is that we finally have, we're always kind of asking our developer community for their contributions and content contribution, and now we finally really have like a kind of a showcase where if somebody wants to write how they kind of completed a challenge, or when we have a hackathon winner, we can kind of showcase that on this hub. So.
That makes sense. I think there's one thing kind of under the covers that developers kind of understand in general is like before we didn't really have a lot of control over our content or the site, and this is kind of running. We kind of get to control this now, and we're not on a bigger release cycle dependent on other features being added to the developer site or a developer release. Like we've gotten this community-driven stuff kind of in its own siloed area that we can access and update real time before we were getting situations where we couldn't even update something. So that's, or we couldn't put a banner or a headline up because we'd have to wait till the next developer site gets launched.
Sure.
And that would really killed us. So this is kind of exciting that this is put together. It looks incredible on mobile. It looks great in the browser. It's really, really exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have it go public soon.
Great,
and I'm going to hand this
We're getting to the top of the hour, and I know that we did get a late start. So those of you who are watching this or will be watching it, hopefully I will put a caret in the video of where Joe comes in, so you can just fast forward to that spot. I don't know why telling you that now matters, but hopefully we'll get that flipped over for you. I don't know, Joe, did you have any closing thoughts on this or any other things you might want to point out so that way if somebody's getting there the first time, they kind of know where to start, or it feels pretty instinctive though.
Yeah, I think it's built to be kind of intuitive. Like you can click on the blog post. For those of you who are concerned about kind of archive blog posts, you're still going to be able to access the old blog, but we really want to concentrate on getting you the best information through the new blog instance. And then also, if you're watching the video, since this is going to be posted up on YouTube, if you have any questions or any suggestions, please put that in the comments on YouTube.
Perfect. So the comments will be at the bottom of YouTube, and you guys can stick those in. You could also probably just reach out to @IntuitDev if you have any feedback at all. I know that you have the Twitter is highly visible, correct? On the dev site?
Yes.
Okay, on the new hub? Okay. Yeah, so that might be another way too. So whatever method you're comfortable in, I know that Joe's pretty heavy on the Twitter, so you can give really fast feedback that way, or thoughts, or inquire about things via that. Great. No, this looks great. It's very exciting, and we'll see what's next for the community. Thank you very much, Joe.
Of course.
And so next week, as we change the format, next week will just be open office hours, and then the week after that will be another guest, and so we'll go to that type of a rhythm from here on out. We'll start every other week will be a guest and then not a guest. So let me change screen share to get shared. 1 second on my end. Sharing. Everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. Joe, thanks for being a guest. Anybody who attended live, thank you very much. And we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks. See you guys.